Hello, and welcome to Moscato and Tea. This is the show for all things beauty, business, and community with your hosts, Inez and Chiquita, keeping it raw, real, and unfiltered.
What's up?
That one was good. The reason I'm laughing is because they needed to see your face.
Yes.
I know that was. I know you were like. I know you a little to the side.
Yeah,
I know.
Give a little taste, a little tea. You know, I've been trying different intros and stuff. You know, trying to figure out what works and stuff. So we'll see.
I know. I was expecting your singing.
Yeah. You like the singing?
No. But that's why I was expecting the singing.
Do y'all hear how she treats me?
No, don't like the singing.
The shade is so real.
That's okay. Well, one day we could go karaokeing and you could get it all out of your system. See?
You ain't no better.
I know. I stay in my lane. I said, look, God did not
give... very versatile.
I know. I said, God knew not to give me a voice. Because y'all think Beyonce's something? I would have taken over the world.
Leave B alone. Leave the queen alone.
I just said y'all thought what did I say? I just said I would have been bigger. That's anyway, all in my mind.
We have another queen here today.
Yes, we do.
So I'm very happy.
Yes, we finally got her in and I'm excited.
I know. It's been a year in the making of trying to get her in.
But that's to show you she's super busy because she's good at what she does.
Yes, exactly.
So you want to go ahead and
I'm really excited. Yeah. Everybody, please welcome a very special guest and our friend, Michele Blackwell.
Hello, Michele. Yay.
Hi. How are you?
I am well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Dealing with this one over here, but
girl, bye.
Doing good.
Happy birthday.
Yes, she's been flying and going and doing so much stuff. You know, so it's just trying to pin her down for a second. It's crazy.
I know.
So, you know, but as you know, and she know, you're a very busy lady, as we said.
Yes.
What is going on with you?
Wow. Never a dull moment. So we're just, hanging in every day, working and working, doing the best we can. I don't know if you guys saw that. I have a portrait studio.
Yes.
And we just did a butterfly pop-up portrait event this past couple weekends ago and brought in live butterflies, and it was really fun.
Nice. So See, I'm always busy. Well, I would have been there Well, I know you have your own studio, photography studio and everything, and I know that our other friend, they do live performances and singers there as well.
Yeah, Tiffany came to the space.
Tiffany does a lot of space. Yeah. People do a lot of different things in your studio,
and
which
she's
is
coming
amazing.
again in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
Going to do another show. Yep.
Yeah. So what made you decide to open up your own studio photography business?
Well, having a physical studio space has been a dream of mine for, I guess, maybe a decade, more than a decade. And I just didn't have the wherewithal to make it happen, especially in LA, because it's so expensive here. And I was really blessed, coming up on 2 years, it'll be 2 years in June. I woke up one Saturday morning and I said, it wasn't actually June. June was when I signed the lease. It was May because it was the Saturday before Mother's Day. And I woke up and out of a dead sleep and said, I'm going to get a studio today. And I thought that was the craziest notion that popped in my head when you wake up. But I got a cup of coffee and I went to my computer and I sat down and I turned on Craigslist and there was this ad for a studio space.
That was a sign.
And I looked at the rent was very low. And so I discounted it and was like, this can't be in a great space because the rent is so low.
Yeah. Right.
Moved on, kept looking at other stuff, didn't find anything. And this voice said, go take a look at it. So I grabbed my dog. I was like, let's get in the car, Cricket. And we did a drive-by. And I drove by, and it was a storefront, and
it's so dope.
Yeah, the woman who had it was a dry cleaners actually, and she was just walking up and opening the door when I pulled up. So I parked the car and I went over and I said, "Hi, I saw this advertised on Craigslist," and she goes, "Yeah, because I'm going to close my business." And I was like, "Can I just kind of peek in?" And I know it's not really supposed to disturb the tenants, but can I just kind of walk through? And I walked through, and I was like, This would work. I could do this." And so she goes, "I like you. I'm going to tell the landlady that I like you and I want you to have it." And she did. And I put down my application and everything. And the next day was Mother's Day. And I said, well, I'm not going to hear anything because it's Sunday, it's Mother's Day.
Right.
And I said, I looked up, my mother's passed away. So I looked up at the heaven. I was like, Miss Annie, any help you can give me, it'd be great. And the next morning, 11 o'clock, phone rang. The woman said, I like you. You got your application right away. And I like people who get stuff done. It's yours if you want it. And that's how it came to be.
Yeah. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
And I have to say, your studio is super cute. It is a storefront. I walked in, I was like, this is so cute. I wish I would have found something like this when I was looking for a place, besides a studio. Something small, has a kitchen, a clean bathroom. I mean, that's so cute. And it's really great. And I was looking at it for doing photo shoots, speaking of which, because me and
we have a photo shoot.
We got to come in. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I was like, it's going to be so much fun up in here, having a great time. And we've done a photo shoot before. You do absolutely amazing work. I'm not, believe it or not, as big as my personality and my mouth is. Yes. I'm not big. Shush your mouth. I'm not big on taking pictures. I've never been big on that. Even as a kid, I was never one to sit there and love the camera. And so even now, I'm like, I got to take a picture. But Michele had a way of bringing out like my personality through it and making me feel comfortable when I was doing my photo shoot that I was like, I would totally do it again. Because I've worked with other people. I'm like, no, I'm not even going there. I'm not very comfortable. But she made it so much fun. And so I was so excited to hear like, hey, Michelle's looking again. I was like, you had your studio. I was like, I'm totally down. And so Chiquita and I were like, I want to do my own because I need that for my own business. Yeah. She needs hers for her own business, but we also need for here because people are always like, what do you all look like? I'm cute, but we'll let that go.
You know what? It's not about you today.
Anyways, So, so what made you decide to do photography?
Yes,
to be a photographer, you have to have an eye. You have to see things. You see things differently than the average person who's just on their phone taking a picture. How did that all become?
Well, my undergraduate degree is in television and film. So I started out as a film major and I came out to Los Angeles and started doing marketing for a small independent studio and took a totally different direction. So I was at that studio. The head of marketing for that studio said, if you want to get ahead in the business, you need to get an MBA. So I went back to school and got an MBA. And I thought I was going to do marketing. I thought that was my thing. And kind of didn't do film. But I think I credit film with giving me a visual sense because I
can talk about that.
Yeah, right. The background. And then fast forward a while, and I found myself being the VP of marketing for a national photography chain. So I wasn't the photographer, but I was the person that was responsible for getting business in the door. And my mom got sick, and I flew back home, and she said to me before she went to the hospital, I want to have our portraits taken. And I didn't want to go. Because I don't have my picture taken. Photographers are the worst subjects, right? And so I didn't want to go, but I did because it was her birthday. Her birthday was coming up in a few days, and I said, okay. And I went. We had our portraits taken, and the day after her birthday, she went into the hospital for a routine surgery, and she never came home. And the photographs that I didn't want to take really became my most cherished possessions. They mean so much to me now. Right. So glad that I went and didn't, wasn't stubborn.
Right.
And her passing really was that motivation for me. I was like, I want to be able to give other people these, what I call wall-worthy portraits, legacy, quality images that tell their story. And that's really the motivation that got me going. Now, ironically, after she passed, I had no idea because she never talked about it, but I was going through her stuff and I found a Nikon SLR from the 1970s. Oh, wow. So she was a shutterbug. And I found pictures of her with her camera that my stepfather had taken, like taking all of her photography. And I found pictures of her at her art table because she was also a designer, which she never talked about.
Wow.
And so she hated that I did graphic design. She was like, you just want to be poor, don't you? So I feel like she's, like it's a legacy. Like she's,
I love it. And speaking of which, you did do my daughter's senior portraits, by the way. That came out amazing. I have them on the wall to the point where when I sent out her senior invitation and did all of this stuff, the following year, she had other people doing the same thing that you had done, like, a photo shoot and everything else. And I am that stage mom where they had to kick me out, yes. But my daughter loved it. She loved the feeling. She thought it was great. You brought out something in her because she is a little bit more shyer than her mom, but you brought out something in her, and the pictures are amazing. I look at him on my wall all the time. I was like, Boo, you look so cute. She's like, oh, Mom, whatever. But it was, it's one of those things that to the point where my daughter was so comfortable, they had to kick me out. And she's like, why are you making? I was like, okay, fine, no problem. Yeah. But you did that too. So you have a tendency. We know you work with young, teens. You do all kinds of other things. Highly recommend if you're in the LA area and you have a senior and you want to do like something outside of the traditional senior portrait. Looking at Michelle and getting your senior into her studio and doing some really fun portraits of themselves, because now my daughter looks at it and goes, oh, that was my good cheer. She was in her cheer uniform, and then they put her in this really pretty designer dress, and she's like, oh my gosh. So that's something that I highly recommend. It was very cherishable, and even now we look at it and we're like, dude, those are some dope ass pictures.
No, that's awesome.
No, that's awesome. Great to hear. I mean, that's what I want. I want people to enjoy their sessions. I want people to come and have a good time. I want them to feel welcome in the space. It should be fun.
Oh my gosh,
it should be fun. No, it shouldn't be like a thing where if you're nervous and unhappy, you're not taking a great picture.
No, and I'm one. I'm one. I hate to tell you, like I said, and by the time we were done, I was like, oh shoot, I feel like I'm a model up in here. I was like,
and we know you ain't.
You know what? Keep with the shade, because we're about to get down up in here. Sorry, Michelle.
Listen, I'm just saying. One thing I wanted to touch on, because we talked about it in the past, where you used to do film, and I know you did this documentary with horses and stuff like that. Can you talk about a little bit about that and how that's going and what you're doing now with film?
Yeah, well, the documentary with horses is still going.
Okay.
It's coming up on 6 years, which I was depressed about at first, and then I started talking to other documentary filmmakers, and they were like, no, that's about right.
Wow.
It takes a long time to get it done. But I started a documentary about America's wild horses. Most people don't even know that we have wild horses that live in the wild still in this country. We have about 27,000 left when we used to have about 200,000. They're being threatened. Their freedom is being threatened, even though Congress passed an act saying that they had the right to be free and stand where they are in America's West. Now we want to use the land that they stand on for fracking and oil pipelines and cattle ranching. And so people are coming after the horses and wanting to remove them. And it's really a shame, because horses originated in the North American continent. So they came across the Bering Strait. This is their home. They're native to this continent. They've been here longer than we have. And unfortunately, once they're gone, they're gone. We won't be able to.
That's true.
We won't be able to change that. Horses are truly being managed into extinction by big business.
Well, like everything else in this world, big business is like they don't realize that the minute that they're gone, like every other creature that is gone, that it was part of this earth, changes the dynamic of this earth. Their horses are here for a reason, and they've been here for a really long time for a reason. And they're such beautiful, gentle, loving creatures. Like, as not a creature, but just, an animal that's, they're gorgeous, and, their coats, and they're amazing. They're smart, and to hear that big business wants to get rid of them just so they can pump oil and do all this stuff is sad. Yeah, it's saddening and it's maddening. That's why sometimes even with this crazy 45 allowing oil pumping to go through Native American land and doing all of this, changing the dynamic that, horses have been here forever and have, people ride horses, like, they're all this stuff. So I'm looking forward for you to finish that off and put that out. Like,
are you doing any type of like GoFundMe type of situation with it, or are you just doing like events at all?
We haven't done a GoFundMe yet. What we've been doing is really working with trying to apply for grants, and we've been doing the grant process for quite a while. We might do a GoFundMe or crowdfunding in the future, because we're close. We have a few things left to do before we're just ready to sit down in the editing room. But we were hoping to kind of catch a fire with some funding organizations or distribution companies, and so far nothing's really caught fire. So we may go to the crowdfunding route to complete it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, you do get that and get that fire, because I think it's really important. I don't think people realize. And I don't think it's out there. It's that hidden thing that nobody really knows about. Because until right now, you're telling me I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people don't even, when you say America's Wild Horses, they kind of look at you.
Yeah. Like what?
Like what?
Yeah.
Like it's
no. Big time. Big time. What else do you have coming up?
Well, we've got a portrait series. We're going to do another series of portrait pop-up events. So we're finding people like this. We're going to do a bloom portrait. So we don't know exactly when, but inspired by the big super bloom that's going on, we're going to transform the studio space into a flower wonderland and have people come in and do portraits as an open house. Working on that. And then working on some other documentary ideas that we're trying to get going. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So if, let's say, some people, kids are in college or anything like that, or high school, that are looking to get into that realm of photography, what would you suggest for them? Or someone wanting to start a business in a photography business, what would you suggest for them?
Well, if you want to be a photographer, the first thing you have to do is get yourself a DSLR camera. And iPhone photography is great, but it's just the dynamic range is just not the same. And you really want to get a camera that you can use manually, and you can learn how to artistically control the exposure and the shutter speed and the composition and really master that. And that's the first thing. And then when you're there, you have to decide if you love it. So I tell people, I'm a geek. If I'm doing a session with you, and you'll hear me squealing behind the camera when I see a shot that I like. I'll be like, oh, I love it. It's so great. And so you make sure you love it. Make sure you love it, because it's a hard road. It's a hard road. There's lots of struggle. I was just talking to a group of people. I hosted a salon in my space last weekend. We were talking about social media marketing and being entrepreneurs. And the thing that I said to people was the very first question you have to ask yourself is, what is your why? And your why, like what gets you up every morning and makes you come back to your business?
Vagina.
Yes.
Right? And your why has got to be bigger. It's got to be big. It's going to be almost scary big, because it has to be bigger than you. Because if it's out, my why is I'm paying the rent, and there are going to be days when you're not going to get up because you don't care. But if your why is big, it'll get you up when times are hard, when you get you doing the stuff that you don't want to have to deal with, because the why is so important. And I think that's, why do you have a camera in your hand, and why do you want to take a picture? Make sure your why is big,
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, us being entrepreneurs, and my why is big. I love what I do. Regardless what anybody wants to say, even the days, there are days, don't get me wrong, I do not want to get up and go, but I still take my ass up and I go. And once I'm in my place of business, I go, oh, this is why I'm here, damn it. This is why I love it. This is why it is. And then I get excited again. And believe it or not, I mean, I'm excited. My why is huge. I even started teaching because my why is so big. Because I want to pass it on to others and give what I got, and so forth, where my business is suffering just a little bit because I'm so busy doing, I'm taking a different path, but I still love my business. It's just now finding again the why with my social media. Because, I find that when I post and I do things, I just do it because I like it. I find something funny, I post it. It's not a big deal. I'm like, haha, I get a lot of, reactions from things. So again, finding that why, and us doing, I got so many, so I'm juggling so many different things.
Finally got an assistant, so that's good.
Finally getting an assistant to help me put everything in order. But I think you're very correct on that, having a why. And when you do a session with Michele, you understand her why. And that makes you comfortable in taking pictures and because taking a picture is really literally exposing yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's that's why I get it. When I'm waxing somebody, they're naked on a bed, they're literally exposing themselves, and it could be very, very vulnerable, and if you're not comfortable with the person who you're exposing yourself with, it's not going to show well. So with you, exposing myself in a way that I'm not comfortable was very comfortable, because of your why and how much you love. And you could tell, like, you know, she felt me uncomfortable. She's like, Inez, it's okay. Come on. Okay. Why don't you do a funny face, or why don't you do, and slowly it's just started, it's almost like started cracking and flowing. And then I saw the pictures and I was like, wow, that's me. And that's so me in a different way. And you can express yourself so well in a picture of yourself. I think nowadays everybody on social media just posts like these crazy pictures and these things that are but it doesn't show who they are.
Yeah.
It's what they want you to see.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you, that's what makes you, I think, very unique in that sense. We don't see a lot of that. Herb Ritz was one that would, you know, you would see his pictures and you would be like, yo, that's such an expression, or that he exposed them in such a way that it was, you know, so forth. And I think you're on that level for me. You're on that high.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're on that very high level. Just, you know, I think it's you're just underrated in a way that I don't think people have really, you know, have you ever thought about doing like a gallery with all your photos or, you know, an exposition like that? Because I think that would be really awesome. And I think it would give you a little bit more exposure and people realizing that you are a really amazing and very talented photographer.
Well, thank you very much. I actually have a passion project that I'm about to launch. I don't have any images done yet.
Nice.
But I call it, maybe you guys can help me with the name. So I've got something I'm called Brave Portraits. That's one of the things I'm considering. And the other is I Am Woman. And so
like that.
What I really wanted to do is to celebrate women. And it really, we have a friend in common, Tiffany. And Tiffany and I were talking a couple of months ago, and we were talking about this stuff in the news about women who were Muslim being attacked, you know, and it broke my heart because I felt like in America, you know, we can criticize a woman for covering up, and we'll criticize her for taking her clothes off.
Right.
Right. We'll criticize her for being too skinny. We'll criticize her for being too fat. And it's really sad because it takes us out of the realm of understanding that all of us are women, and we come in different shapes and sizes. We come in different ages. We come, you know, some of us different sexual orientations. I mean, some of us were born not born women, and we identify as women. And so I really wanted to do a project where we had really holistic, realistic, compelling portraits of women from all walks of life.
That'd be nice.
And that I think could be a show.
Yeah.
That's celebrating women of all
something
types.
like I Am Here.
I Am Here.
That's awesome. Exciting. I was like, oh, you better call me, girl.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's great. So with all that said, where are you located at?
Yes.
We're located on the west side of Los Angeles. We're at 1410 Stearns Drive. We're near the corner of Pico and Crescent Heights, near LACMA and Fairfax, and that's one of my favorite places to take people outside.
Yeah, the LACMA, yes, that was cute.
Yes, we went there.
And then if somebody wanted to, are you just like, do you have business hours, or is it by appointment? How does it work?
We work by appointment, and you can book an appointment on our site, which is www.mabstudioportraits.com. And we have you can book online and any day of 7 days a week. Really no set office hours. We work on your time. We can do portraits in the evenings, in the mornings, whatever works for people's schedules. Really flexible.
Perfect.
And so that's awesome. And so with that,
tea time. So as we said earlier, you know, we like to do a little tea time, a little rapid fire questions, just to get to know you a little bit better. I'm going to start it out. Okay. Worst habit.
Worrying.
That's me. That is so me. Okay. Guilty pleasure.
New York cheesecake.
Ooh. Okay. Favorite president, dead or alive?
Wow. That's hard. Okay, I have two. Can I have two?
Okay, yeah.
Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama.
Okay. All right. And that's what you got for?
Favorite superhero and why?
Oh, wow. Favorite superhero. Okay. I got to say Wonder Woman.
Okay. Well, yeah, she's pretty dope.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Original Wonder, Linda Carter.
Carter.
Okay.
Linda Carter.
Yeah, taking it way back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Celebrity crush.
Shamar Moore.
I love it. She's so funny. She said, and she melted.
Yeah, I did.
I know. Okay. And then last but not least, if you could work with anybody in your industry, who would it be and why?
Wow. I think if I could work with anybody in the industry, in photography, it would probably be Annie Leibovitz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And it's because there's something, a simple elegance to her portraits.
True.
Yeah, she just really captures truth.
Yeah.
Without a lot of ostentatiousness, a lot of fanfare, and I really respect that.
Okay, so we just put that in there.
Yes. I got one more for you. Yeah. Last book you read.
What was the name of the? Oh, it was a Seth Godin book, and it was. I'm blanking on the name.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
It's a stump.
That's okay. We stumped her.
That's good.
You stumped me.
Yes, it's okay.
I'm lost in the name. Yeah.
It's okay.
I love Seth Godin. Yes. So I read all this.
Okay,
books, yeah.
Nice. Well, once again, it's been amazing having you here. So please tell everybody where they can find you once again.
Yes. So we are on the west side at 1410 Stearns Drive, and find us online at www.mabstudioportraits.com, and find us on Facebook at MAB Studios.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much, Michelle. It's been a long time in the making.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So of course, we look forward to our session. As a matter of fact, we'll talk a little bit. Maybe we might do something a little live with our session in our studio, so our followers and stuff can kind of see how you work. And how that would
absolutely would love that.
We'll work something out so that way they can see a little bit more of what we're talking about, and with me and my lovely co-host here. With her shade.
Okay.
Anyways, and so again, you guys, thanks so much always for listening. We will see you next time. And lady, you have a good one with your shade. You know what? I could take it. I could give it out, but I'm not really sure if I could take it too much.
Exactly. See, that's the problem with you.
It's all love.
Anyways,
until next time, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Take a little time to enjoy your brand of Moscato and tea with us every day. Subscribe, rate, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and moscatoandtea.com.